Ahoy, my friends, Ryder here, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis video. Today, I'm getting into the to pull or not to pull for TIFA'S Rebirth Swimsuit Banner, which just released yesterday. Super cool banner, very good weapon. All in all, for a featured set, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Now, I'm going to preface this, guys. I think that a lot of people are probably going to want to pull for this for the aesthetics for Tifa, right? And like I said in all my videos in the past, guys, if you want something and you think the costume is great and you love the costume, you know, and it's not going to break the bank, remember, guys, spend responsibly, right? But you have the crystals and you want to go for it, I think that's really all you guys need to know at this point. Like, all in all, this banner is absolutely fantastic, I would say. However, and I'm going to be getting into this as we go into the video, I think, you know, for a lot of people that pulled the Omni Arcanum costumes, you know, we were pulling those Omni Arcanum costumes so that we wouldn't be pressured to pull on every DPS banner costume in the future. And the great thing about this banner is that it's not limited. So we can wishlist this weapon over time and get it to OB10. And if you have Tifa's Omni Arcanum, then I think that you can get away with not necessarily having to pull for this costume itself. Now, the costume itself, in my opinion, is absolutely stunning. Tifa looks amazing, guys. So really, that's like the tugging on the heartstrings right there, is the fact that we probably want the costume for the skin. And, you know, if you're competing in this battle ranking against Ramuh, obviously this is going to be absolutely best in slot. So it really just depends on what you want for your account. You know, if you're trying to be super competitive, you're probably going to be pulling anyway. On the off chance, if you do have the Omni Arcanum, but you absolutely love the aesthetic of the costume, it really just depends on how many crystals you have. Keep in mind, we have Dragon Quest coming next month, and then the 2-year anniversary in September, and I think it's basically guaranteed at this point that Cloud will get his ultimate weapon in September for the 2-year anniversary, and I'm hoping that it's going to be just absolutely game-breaking. He deserves something after having to sit on the bench for the last, like, I don't even know how long Cloud's been benched, which is crazy considering this is Final Fantasy VII, right, at the end of the day. So, you know, for me, I'm amped on that. So I think as much as I would love to pull for this costume, for this banner, with only 60k crystals right here and Dragon Quest around the corner, you know, and this being featured, I think that I'm going to hold off. I mean, the banner doesn't end until August 3rd, right? So we have basically an entire month to see what's coming this month, to see how many crystals you have by August 3rd, and then make that choice. So, you know, if you guys are on the fence, you have time to wait. Be patient. There's literally no rush, guys. So that's what I'm going to be doing. That's my approach to this banner. Now, let's actually take a look at this, right? So let's jump in here. This is Tifa's costume. Guys, she looks amazing. Let's be real. Like, I mean, Tifa, I think, is probably the most hype / pulled character of this game. And, like, to have her in the Rebirth costume and have it not be limited, I think is just absolutely fantastic and awesome. So I know that there's going to be a ton of people pulling for this costume. Let's take a look at her actual weapon here. All right, so it has some kind of jewel right here. She has a ring on her finger. I'm not really super psyched on the fact that she's wearing a ring, because I don't know if you guys have ever, like, punched someone. If you're wearing a ring, like, that shit really hurts. So this makes absolutely no sense for her being a martial arts character to have a ring on her finger, but, you know, it's a game. It doesn't need to be realistic. Let's just pretend that Tifa's fingers are made out of adamantium, and so then it's all good. She's got the ring there, guys. So, but other than that, she's got the cool skirt. I love the white on the blue right here. I think it fits her perfectly, especially with her kind of like reddish amber eyes. I don't know exactly what color you would call that, but I love the hairstyle, guys. I love the flowers in the hair. I think honestly she just looks, all in all, amazing. All right, so just great costume. I think 10 out of 10 for me, guys. I think she looks awesome. I've loved this costume since we saw her in Rebirth, and it's cool to see it now actually coming into the game. So really cool to see that. Now, as for the costume itself on the R abilities, we have physical magic ward, physical and magic defense plus 20%. So very solid right here, guys. So it has the defensive aspect of the costume, and then you get the HP 15%, you get the water ability damage 30%, and then you get the physical ability damage 20%. So obviously this costume is going to be like far better than her Omni Arcanum costume. But, you know, for me, I pulled on some of these Omni Arcanums because I wanted to be able to have the versatility to skip certain banners under circumstances where crystals need to be saved. And this is one of those times. So like I said, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait and see if this banner, you know, might have a double kind of frequency into the Guild War. We'll have to see. I'm actually really curious what the Guild War will be this month. I feel like it could be physical lightning, but I also feel like if Cloud is getting his ultimate weapon on 2-year anniversary, you know, Cloud started the game with physical lightning, I could see them giving him some like insanely new powerful physical lightning weapon to like power creep Murasame once and for all for him, right? So I'm not exactly sure what the Guild War will be this month, but if you guys think that you have an idea what it might be, I'm super curious to hear. All right, so all in all, aesthetics of the costume, 10 out of 10. The actual costume itself, 10 out of 10. And then let's take a look at the weapon itself. And I think I rarely say this, guys, but I would say the weapon itself is also 10 out of 10. Now, the physical magic attack break is not always going to be useful, but in most cases you can break either physical magic attack on the enemy. In a lot of cases, right? Sometimes no, but it is a very nice thing to have, and the fact that it will scale up to a high break at OB10, which we'll get to here in a second, I think is absolutely fantastic. So if you take a look at the weapon at OB1, so I'm guessing a lot of people here that are going for the costume, right, and not for battle ranking, are going to be pulling for the costume and probably ending up somewhere around OB1, right? So OB1 is going to net you 366 physical attack, you're going to get 720% physical water damage, you're going to get the physical attack break low to mid. Thank God it's not low to low. I'm so tired of seeing low to low, dude. Dudes, duders, girls, everyone, right? But so it's nice to see that it's low to mid right here, even at OB1. The threshold is 70%, so it's not quite as good, and it does say 70% all the way up until OB9, until you finally tick it over into OB10, and it will drop to 50%. But the magic attack here is low to mid, and the nice thing about the threshold, at least, is it doesn't affect the physical as well, right? It's just the added magic attack. So, you know, not a terrible threshold at that. Then we have the R abilities, physical attack over water potency. It's going to be the standard 46 over 39. This is a featured weapon. You know, they can't give us the moon and everything on top of it at the same time. So it makes sense that we get a 46 over 39 standard. And then you get the double physical attack boost and the X sigil boost right here. It is really nice to see that the support abilities have been matching the weapons perfectly lately. I think Applebot went through like a, I don't know what, there was like a midlife crisis going on at Applebot where like support abilities didn't match the weapons, and it's just like everyone was scratching their head and wondering like what is happening over there. But I think they like have really kind of locked in recently, and it's great to see, guys. It is great to see, because I think they really need to be locked in, especially in these times, you know, like in the doldrum periods between the anniversaries where the game gets slower, right? Like all mobile games get slower and then they hype back up for the anniversaries, and then they slow down and then they hype back up for the anniversaries. So I think like in those slower periods is really when they need to be the most on point, you know, because people are more inclined to be more critical of the company, you know, when there's less going on, right? When everything's super hype, it's hard to mess that up. So I think this is nice to see. Now, taking a look at the weapon at OB6, 576 physical attack. We'll see if this weapon breaks 700 physical attack. I've been waiting for one for a long time. So you hit the 940% physical water damage. The physical attack is mid to mid right here. All right, and the magic attack stays the same. The threshold is still 70%. Okay, and then if we take it to OB10, you're going to see several changes here. All right, 628. That is very low, guys. This is a very low OB10 DPS like max stat. Like normally these are like in the upper 600s. This is the first time I've actually seen a weapon in the lower 600s. I'm not sure how much of an effect this is when it scales, when you add everything together, but I'm guessing that extra like 60 physical attack would account for a good amount, especially in a fully built team. So that is a bit surprising to see 628 on the physical attack. That does feel considerably low, I'm not going to lie. But then you get the 1120 physical percent water damage. Absolutely fantastic. No threshold on it, which I love. Super good. And then you get the physical attack is decreased, magic attack is decreased, mid to high. You're going to be spamming this weapon, guys, so it doesn't matter that it's mid to high. You're basically just locking the enemy on a permanent attack debuff, which is insane. And then the threshold not only drops from 70, but it goes to 50% right here. And I do kind of like the idea that it changes that OB10 on weapons that are not limited. You know, I'm going to repeat that over and over again because I really, you know, do not think that it's a good idea that Applebot starts to do this with limited weapons. It will not be good for the game, the community, for anyone, for them. So I keep going to reiterating that every single time, but this, I think, is pretty cool, guys. So honestly, like, I don't know the last time I've said this, but I would say this banner is like 10 out of 10 all around. I'm not sure I've ever said that, guys. I mean, it's definitely happened before, but 10 out of 10 on the aesthetics, 10 out of 10 on the costume, 10 out of 10 on the weapon, which is really, really, really cool to see. So that's basically my overview on this banner, guys. Like I was saying before, if you have her Omni Arcanum, if you got that before, then I think you're in a suitable position to potentially skip the banner. If you have Yuffie's Bird of Prey weapon and you leveled it up from the Rebirth event, this is probably also an easy skip since Yuffie is pretty powerful. But if you're trying to rely on Glenn as your physical water DPS, or you're trying to rely on Angeal as your physical water DPS, I think both of them are pretty locked into the tank category. They're not really going to be holding up as DPS. Cloud is obviously just completely fallen off. He has no ultimate weapon. He's not going to be able to do really anything, guys. Like, he struggles pretty hard right now, and it's really sad to see. So other than that, guys, I think, you know, if you are going to be pulling for it for the costume, I wish you all the best of luck out there. And like I said in my previous video, we do have some guilds recruiting for the upcoming guild war. We have 2 guilds specifically looking for a strong stage 6 hitter. Leviathan, they're a top 5 guild. Odin, they're in a top 15 guild, are both looking for a stage 6 hitter. And then we have some other guilds also recruiting. We have Titan, Shiva, Neo Bahamut as well. And they range from like top 20, top 30, top 50, top 80, something in that range. So, you know, we have something for everyone. If you guys are looking for something more casual, more competitive, super competitive, almost quite that competitive, basically we have everything. So there's a link in the description to join our Discord. I encourage you guys to come join, hang out with us, do some co-op battles for the Leviathan and Bahamut event. And if you're pulling for Tifa, like I said, I wish you guys the best of luck. So that being said, I'm going to end this video. Thank you guys for watching today. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis content. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.